Hello there Scapers, my name is Zenevilius of the Pros and welcome to this overview video of Invention Batch 2. A bit delayed, but it's here nevertheless thanks to popular demand. I probably wouldn't have come here if it wasn't for you guys telling me to, and I'm glad I did. So let's start off with the main update. The main update is the removal of the inspiration cap. So the first thing you should probably do is go do the tutorial by clicking on the machine in the new room in the Invention Guild next to Falador Lodestone. So once you do that, you will have a better idea of how things work. Now, there's a bunch of stuff to discover, and discovery doesn't need inspiration anymore, you just discover things. And it's the same process as before, so you have a ton of different items. You want to discover as many of them as possible as your invention level allows you to. Ideally you want to discover all of them because you get plus 50% XP from discovering them until the 2nd of October, so you definitely want to do them. And the way I do them is the way I guess people have been doing them for many months, almost 2 years now since Invention first came out, and that is the following way. So you basically have one optimal combination out of 120 different combinations, and you're just trying to find the optimal combination as soon as possible to get the best XP. Now, I did the machines first and I got 2.7 mil XP from discovering the machines. That took me about 15 minutes. And the rest took another about 20-25 minutes to discover. So in about 40-45 minutes you can discover all of them, and in total I got 6.8 mil XP. That is insane, so you want to do this as fast as possible, and any bonus XP you have will also contribute towards this. I'm not going to go into the specific technique, but basically you swap items, you swap these 5 different parts. If you get a better combination, you stick with it, otherwise you go back to what you had and try a different swap, see if that works. There is a method to it, but it's a bit involved to go through here, but it's fairly simple. You can Google it if you want, and that will get you it. So the last one of these, and the highest level requirement, was level 118 for the large gizmo bag. A bag that can store up to 20 gizmos. That's going to save a ton of bank space, then that's useful. And that gave me 394k XP in one go. Insane amounts of XP. You probably saw a ton of people getting like 120s and 200 mils. There were a few glitches, maybe that's fake news, I don't know, but Jagex seemed to have fixed a lot of those on day of release, which was last Monday, the 18th of September. So once you've done this, well, you don't have to do all of them, you just do the machines if you want to get onto the machines. So let us move on to the machines. You go to the generator spot, make a simple generator. So that's the basic thing you need in order to fire up your machines, because the generator will generate something called power for your machines. You have 3 stages, a level 60 invention one called the simple generator, which will generate 100 power, and at level 80 you can upgrade it to a large generator, which requires 120, well, which provides 125 power. And finally at level 102 you can generate something called a jumbo generator, which is the highest tier, and that will generate 160 power. Power is important because it tells you how many machines you can have running at the same time. Now into this generator you need to put in divine charges. It works the same way as it does for skilling tools and weapons and armor with current invention, in the sense that one divine charge will give you 3,000 charges, and those charges will be used to power your machines, whatever you may use them for. There are a variety of different machines you can use: the hide tanner, the potion producer, or the partial potion producer should I say, the plank maker, the alchemizer, and finally the auto disassembler. Okay, so each of these machines has 2 versions, the normal version and the Mark II version. There may be more versions in the future, but this is what there are right now. So the way the machines work is this: you put in a bunch of items into them and you get a bunch of items out of them, and they process these items every hour on the hour, whether you are online or not, as long as there is enough charge in your generator to keep them running. So they use a certain amount of charge per hour, they use a certain amount of power per hour, and power is something you can think of as floor space. Is 160 if you have your jumbo generator, and that will be spread out between all the machines you have in your room. There are 6 hotspots for them. You can't have all 6 of the best tier because that will use up too much power, so you need to balance out what machines you have in order to optimize your power, the amount of power you have. Now the machines also require certain invention levels to create and a ton of parts. Now that's the biggest worry here, or not worry, but the biggest problem. You need a lot of parts and components to make them in the first place. So you need to go collecting them, and once you make them, they will stay there forever, but remember that you won't get any of your parts back if you take them away. So make sure you put the right machines in the right place. So here I created an auto disassembler at level 60 invention, which you can upgrade to auto disassembler Mark II at level 81 invention. And the Mark II uses 230 machine charge per hour, which is basically 230 charge per hour. It processes 60 items an hour, so it disassembles 60 items an hour with all the junk chance reduction and all that you've unlocked on your character. So 60 an hour is 50 times slower than you would do if you were disassembling by hand, so that's a disadvantage, but at the same time remember that it works overnight as well. So that's just one of the many uses of these machines. You got the alchemizer as well, you've got the plank maker, you've got the partial potion producer, and the hide tanner. So you've got a multitude of different things which you can use as you see fit. I'm guessing they will upgrade these. There will be more machines in the future, hopefully. This is just a start, and there is a lot of analysis that can be done on this in order to optimize it, because these machines can passively get you hundreds of mils in a year. Like if you keep them running throughout an entire year, keep them topped up and so on, you will get loads of money in the background. So I'm going to be analyzing all that in a future video, but this is all you need to know about machines right now. They are great, and they can make you a lot of money, not as a disassembler, but the other types of machines, depending on what you put in them, and making sure you top them up and optimizing your power into all the machines you have. As of now, the most profitable method involves having 2 high capacity plank makers, which are level 2 versions of the plank maker, and these require 117 invention to make. And I believe using mahogany logs is the most profitable method right now, but since this update just came out, I'm sure the mahogany logs will increase in value, and the mahogany planks which this machine produces will reduce in value in the future, so the profit margins will reduce as well. So as time goes on, you will probably have to use different combinations of different machines based on the market prices of the different items that you put in compared to the items you get out. But that's all I have to say about machines. Let's move on to the next section. Now the next part of the Invention Batch 2 update were a few quality of life updates. The first one I'm going to discuss is the improved 120 invention emote, or Master Cape emote shall I say. So yeah, here it is. First time I'm seeing it, but that's for sure. That looks pretty cool. If only real life invention was like this. What the hell? Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's my pet. I should get my invention pet out. Anyway, we diverge. Or we digress, should I say. Always make that mistake. So that's one part of it. The second part is obviously they removed inspiration, which is awesome. And that also means you should try and get all your blueprints discovered by the 2nd of October, because that's when your plus 50% XP runs out. The third part, which I'm pretty sure loads of people found really annoying, and it's a nice fix, is that you can now choose to remove cogs on your augmented items. So there's a button for it here in miscellaneous settings right on the bottom. You can either have cogs on or remove them. I'll take them off because it looks nicer without them. And finally, augmenters are tradable. So yeah, that changes everything for those of you who haven't got 120 invention yet, because you won't have to collect all the items yourself and make them. You can easily buy them off GE, and those of you who like to do that kind of thing can definitely make a profit now. So awesome. Let's get into the main part of this second half of this video, which is devices. There are a bunch of devices, mostly covering the gap between 99 and 120, but also a few lower level devices that they've introduced. Let's start off with one of the most basic ones. The most basic one is the small gizmo bag. You can make this at level 77 invention at an invention desk. You need a bunch of parts, no components, so nothing uncommon, just a bunch of common parts. Let's start off with the basic one, the small gizmo bag at 75. This is all the parts you need, not too difficult to obtain, and what it will do is it will give you the option to store 10 different gizmos into it, whatever type of gizmo you want it to be. So that's awesome. You can upgrade it at level 95, I believe, with a few more parts and the small one, and that will give you the option to store 15. And at level 118, which is the highest level requirement to make anything in the game, you will be able to make a large gizmo bag. 118 invention, few more parts, but nothing too substantial. Few components as well. So components are the uncommon types, parts are the very common types. As you can see, I've got 15,000 of those, not too many of the others. So let's make that, and now I'm going to be able to add all of these gizmos in there. So that's 20 in my inventory. Oh, okay, you have to add it one by one. That's annoying. Oh no, okay, you can deposit all. Awesome. So that's one of them. At level 77, you have one of the most useful items, hands down, for invention training. Especially those of you who don't disassemble your armor and weapons to train invention, you siphon them. So this one is made at level 77 invention, and it's called the Mechanized Siphon. So you need 5 equipment siphons, which it will use up to make it, a bunch of parts and components, quite a few to be honest, but it's a one-time thing. You will keep this forever, and once you make it, I'm not going to make it because I am very close to 200 mil invention, so there's no point in me making it now. But once you make it, you can store up to 50 normal siphons and up to 50 crystal tool siphons in it, and it will automatically siphon your equipment once it reaches a certain level. You can specify what level that is. Obviously you probably want that to be level 12 because that's when it's best to siphon items. And yeah, that's pretty much what it does. I'm not going to make it, but I think it's a pretty cool item to have, especially at a low level of invention, level 77, because it means you can use it all the way up to 120 and beyond, which is extremely useful, and you don't have to go out of combat to siphon your stuff. You don't have to waste item XP by going slightly over your level 12 before you bank, so wasting that little bit of XP and time, it will do it automatically. A couple of teleport items which are quite interesting in how Jagex have been able to miniaturize them and make them portable. The first one is called a Spirit Tree Rerouter. It is a level 92 invention item, and you don't need too many parts to it because it only has 10 charges, so I'm just going to make one, to be honest. You can make as many as you want, and each one has 10 charges to teleport you to any of the different, I've activated it, now I can teleport to any of the Spirit Tree locations, including any patches I've planted Spirit Trees on myself, which should be Port Sarim mainly, wherever that, there it is, Port Sarim, and maybe Miscellanea, wherever that Miscellanea is. The other one is fairly similar. I think it's level 94, and it's called the Portable Fairy Ring. This one is going to be extremely useful to everyone because fairy rings are used quite a bit even today. I don't know why I made 2 there. So activate it and you can teleport anywhere you want. Again, very useful. But I guess a simple Fight Caves teleport to that fairy ring will do the trick as well if you have the Tokkul Zo, or a Yanel teleport to the fairy ring right next to the Yanel Lowstone. That also works. Next we have the Herb Protector. I'm not going to make one of them, but it's fairly easy to make. You need a plank cure, organic parts and healthy components, all of which are fairly easy to get. This will supplement as super compost, and it's better than super compost in the sense that it will guarantee your patch won't die, your herb patch won't die. So that's awesome. Miraculous Treatment is another similar thing where you could revive your farming patch completely, and you don't need any ingredients apart from invention components. So yeah, very useful stuff, but it won't work on regular or fruit trees, so that's a bummer. Next we have a portable thing called a whetstone. This is basically like an armor stand from your house, and it will charge you the same rates as well, but it's only one use, so you gotta make one for each item that you repair. It's not a problem because it doesn't cost that much. You need a hammer and a few other parts, but it's fairly easy to make. One of the biggest updates of this Invention Batch 2 is going to affect skillers, especially those training divination. The first thing is there is something called an empty divine charge, which you can make at 101. Invention, you need the same number of simple parts as a normal divine charge, but you don't need any of the energy, and the reason for that is while you're training divination, this little guy over here, Divinomatic Vacuum, will automatically do that for you. You store empty divine charges in it up to 100 and it will convert them into normal divine charges as you train your invention. Your divination. It costs a ton of parts, especially the powerful components. I'm going to make it anyway because it is an extremely useful item, and the reason I say it's extremely useful, apart from what I've just mentioned, is that you can configure it as you can see. So you can siphon all energy and memories. Now right now the rate of conversion of energies into divine charges is about one dead Maui or one ancestral energy spot from Uncharted Islands from the Ark will get you one divine charge. That is a pretty low conversion rate, if I'm going to be honest, because that takes about 20 to 30 minutes for one divine charge, and that's like the highest level of energy in the game. But hopefully they will change this. At least there is potential for this to happen in the first place, and this guy won't degrade or anything, so as long as you store empty divine charges in it, you'll be absolutely fine. So I'm going to make a bunch of empty divine charges for that purpose and store it in this and use it whenever I go do some divination. Hopefully you can wield an offhand along with it. No, you can't. Well, you don't need to wield it, do you? I don't know whether you need to wield it for it to work. Hopefully not, as long as it's in inventory. If you do need to wield it, it's not a problem. You'll just miss out on the extra bit of XP from the offhand enhanced Excalibur with the Wise perk on it, which is what I use all the time for skilling. Next we have the flat pack depacker. Now this little guy is stackable, and each one can opt to either disassemble or note flat packs when you make them in your player own house. Now that used to be my go-to way of getting construction, strange rocks and gold rocks for my trim requirements. That used to be a pain having to drop them all or note them all every time. So this is going to be very useful for that purpose. Now I'm not going to make it because I'm probably never going to do flat packs again. But as you can tell, it's a very useful item. Next we have the teleportation compactor. This is basically going to be like another of those gizmo bags. Requires 110 invention, and it will store jewelry charges within it. So you can get rid of a bunch of bank space by storing jewelry from there into here. So let's have a look at how it works. You have to make several, I guess. I don't know why. Let's have a look. I guess it's not like a permanent item like the gizmo bag is, but yeah, let's compact all of these. So it looks like you need full charged jewelry to add into here. So it's going to consume 3 rings of slaying, and it will be added to a new ring of slaying C. Okay, sure, why not? Okay, so each compactor is used to make one C version of the jewelry, I guess. Let me try adding this guy in there. Will that work? No, it doesn't. So basically each compactor only works on a single type of jewelry, and only fully charged jewelry of that type can be added to further enhance them. So for example, if I use this ring of slaying 8 into that ring of slaying C, I will combine it into it and it will add another further 8 charges. You can combine 20 of any type of jewelry into one item, and that's basically what it's used for. It's pretty useful, I guess. I thought it'd save me bank space, but it won't really, because it's taking all those stackable items in my bank and converting them into one item in my bank. So I guess there's no more need for like smaller charged versions of any jewelry in your bank. So in that sense it will save you bank space, but not in the other sense that I thought of. So I guess I can destroy these lower charged rings. So ring of slaying 7, I'll destroy that because I've got this ring of slaying C. Who needs ring of slaying 7? And you can do the same thing with the other types. You need one compactor per type of jewelry. Coming up to the last few now. Now there is another item which is very similar to the mechanized siphon. It's called the potion reservoir. It's like a mechanized siphon in the sense that it automatically drinks timed potions as soon as the timer runs out. You need a normal empty potion flask to make it, and a few other pots, so let's make one. There we go. Let's add the Holy Overload potion into it. Can we do that? Activate it first. Switch it. You need to add a potion. Okay. Put that in there. Oh, you can only store 4 potions. Alright, fine. I'm not going to do that, but I'm pretty sure it will destroy once it uses up all 6 doses. You can only put timed potions in there, and once you do, you can't top them off. So I'm assuming that means they're one-time use. I guess if you're in like a high intensity PVM situation where you'll probably forget to repot, then you can use these, but I can't see too many uses for them, especially if they're only one-time use. You gotta use a fresh potion flask to make them, so that's an extra cost there, and a few small parts and things, but yeah, I mean, it's nice to have for niche uses. And finally, this is the item that I guess everyone was wanting. So you had the equipment dissolver, which would dissolve the item but give you all the gizmos back, the gizmo dissolver, which would dissolve all the gizmos but give you the equipment back, but nothing which would give you both back. So this is exactly what this item does. Now there are a few buts. The first but is that it requires 115 invention, which is a pretty lofty requirement. It requires a bunch of components as well. You can't really say that's quite a few components, if I'm going to be honest. But at the same time, let me create one because I'm going to use this a lot in the future. At the same time, if you level an item to, it can only be used on an item that's at level 15. It will give your gizmos back. At level 15, it will definitely be consumed when you use it on an item. At level 17, there's a 25% chance that it won't be consumed. At level 19, it's 50%. I'm hoping at level 20, it's 75 or 100%, but 50% is pretty good. So yeah, there are quite a few ifs and buts to using this item, but the good thing is that it exists, and that's what matters most. And finally, they've made spring cleaners and tight springs available to be made by Invention. This is great news for Iron Man, obviously, who can't use Treasure Hunter. And I'm going to make my own springs as well because I don't buy keys, so this is the only way of getting them for myself now. So awesome. All in all, what do I think of this update? I'm not gonna lie here, I wasn't expecting a lot from this update, especially since Invention was hated so much by so many people. But there is a lot of potential here. They may not have introduced a lot of different items, but they have laid the foundations for loads more items to be introduced into the game. For example, with machines and the way they work, although it's not perfect, there are a few problems such as not being able to switch off machines, so they still take the allocated amount of power even if you're not even using them. You have to completely remove them and build a new one if you don't want to waste that allocated power, which uses up a lot of new components. So that's one problem. There are a few other problems as well, lots of glitches that were there on day of release, but thankfully they've fixed a lot of them. Despite all that, there is a lot of potential to be able to build on this, and there is finally something to write home about as far as the gap between 99 and 120 Invention is concerned, because that's what this update was mainly about, and it has filled that gap to some degree. There are a lot of very useful items here, should I say devices, because that's what they're meant to be called. My four favorites would have to be the gizmo bags, which have saved me a ton of inventory space, bank space should I say. The equipment separator, because although they can only be used on items above level 15, the fact that I'm almost 200 mil XP means I won't be siphoning any items anytime soon, so all my items are going to be trained and never going to be siphoned. They're going to be hopefully eventually all at level 20, so using equipment separators on them to switch between my gizmos is going to be so useful to tailor my gizmos to specific situations, be it combat or skilling, without having to completely destroy them. Gizmos such as biting or scavenging, for example, can be switched. They are very expensive gizmos. That's just a few, by the way. There are others to consider, so the possibilities are endless. I'm also a huge fan of the mechanized siphon. That's going to make life so much easier now. And the Divinomatic vacuum, which needs a bit of work to make it better, but on the whole, these are really great ideas. So all in all, I'm really pleased about this update. I hope you are too, especially Iron Man as well. They've made life a lot easier for Iron Man. There are more updates which are either in the game now and we don't know about it, or are coming into the game later on. One of them is that at level 20 there is an increased chance of perk activation, so hopefully this will be announced fairly soon. I'm really looking forward to it. And of course, the thing almost everyone has been hailing as the update of the year, whether as a joke or in reality, is that Invention tools now finally work in clan skilling plots. It has been far too long for this to happen, but it's finally happened. So I've rambled on quite a bit, guys. I'll stop there. All I'm gonna say is that this update is awesome. There are a bunch of things you can use, and the simple concept of machines is a fantastic concept to build on in the future. There is a lot of work to be done to fix it and to improve it and to expand it, but it is an excellent concept concept, and you can make a lot of money by building and using machines. I mean a lot of money. So I'm going to analyze that in a future video. Hopefully by that time they will have tweaked some of the things that are currently wrong with the machine system, or could be better, should I say. They're not wrong, but they could be better. And yeah, I'm glad Jagex have done this. So just remember to use up all those blueprints before the 2nd of October. You will get a ton of XP from there. 6.8 mil XP is what I got from unlocking all these blueprints with the 50% XP. So don't miss out on that, guys. Hope you enjoyed this overview. It was a bit of a ramble, but it's been a very long time since I've made a genuine video which isn't part of a series. So it's a way of getting back into the swing of things for me. And yeah, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.